Hello, everybody. Welcome to new segment. So pretty much kind of new to the channel, but it's gonna be kind of like new movies come out during the fall. Like anticipated movies. Kind of gonna do like an Angry Joe type of vibe to it. So give my review and then possibly give spoilers. So we're gonna be talking about it. Also, sometimes I might be doing it by myself. Sometimes I might be having acquaintances with me, which I have now. So, yeah, we saw it chapter 2. Introduce you guys to T and Dylan.
It's Tony, motherfucker.
All right, Tony. So, it chapter
Whoa.
2. Waited 2 years for this. Very highly anticipated, and I'd say it didn't disappoint. It's a pretty decent movie.
Josh loved it, man.
Yes,
He was like just fanboying over this movie. He was like, "Oh, I gotta see it again tomorrow." I was like, "Oh shit."
Yeah, see, they can
You
lie.
can't stop quoting it, man. You know, if you can't stop quoting a movie,
I
Let me
quoted
see it
one
again.
part.
We lied and he died.
Yes. Anyway, yeah, for the most part, it was a decent movie. Shot pretty good. Cinematography is great. One thing is the actors, like, I don't know who did the casting, but like, I'm pretty sure you guys have heard this from every other review, but like, the casting's like spot on. Like, um, I don't remember the actors' names off the top of my head, but
I
like
have him right
the the person that did Richie,
Bill Hader.
no, kid version.
Oh. Shit.
Since you had him all there.
Finn Wolfhard.
Finn Wolfhard, and also the kid that plays Stranger Things. He did a great job, and then Bill Hader, he's pretty much like It's really spooky how they did it. Like every person that's their adult self in the first part, it's just spot on. Like Bill Hader, of course, him and the other actor that the young actor that played in Shazam as well as the first Ed with the inhaler, his older version of
Oh,
himself.
you're right. That is the same kid.
His his actor, like, they're pretty much the comic reliefs of this movie. Um, and I thought they were really good, but towards the end, I kind of wish that some parts they just kept suspense and not cracked the joke because I don't know, it just felt like too many like tossable jokes. But other than that, it was really decent. Um, they changed some stuff about certain things from the book, I think, and the older television show, but I'll get into that in spoilers. Um, but yeah, it's like if you read the book or you watched the older TV series, you know that the part two they come back as adults and finish the job of finishing Pennywise or it, and yeah, I think it was very good. I think certain characters could have been like used more, especially with certain love interests. But um, yeah, like overall, I have to give it. I think the first movie is better. Um, I don't know, like during the movie, it felt a little tad bit long, but that's probably because went to the movies to see it, and I had to pee like crazy for like the last 45 minutes. So I just hold it in. Um, Tony, he took a piss 2 times.
Thank you for mentioning that.
Hey, just gotta mention it. But yeah, like the second movie is really good though. Like I think it is a decent. Uh, it's a decent second part of the original story. Like some series have second and third parts that are kind of like really bad or not as good and kind of loses the story and focus of the first one. Um, but I think this is really good. I have to give it out of 10 a 7. I think. I think the first one I'd probably give it 8. But yeah, this is a pretty good 7. Like it's watchable. I think you will enjoy it. There's certain parts that are kind of a little bit funny and like you already know what's gonna happen if you already know it and all um, the it from whatchamacallit. Pretty much all the it shit.
It shit.
It's the it shit, man. It's the it shit.
Yeah, like all the it universe type shit. Like, if you've seen part one in the miniseries and read the book, you know what's gonna happen, and like you know how they did the first movie. Kind of like some parts were kind of like when it was supposed to be scary, it looked kind of funny. Like Pennywise running towards the screen, like he's just running, like he's just like kind of like having a mid seizure while running. So it's kind of like it's sort of funny, but I mean, if you're really spooked from jump scares, you might get scared a decent amount. But yeah, I have to give it a 7 out of 10. What do you think about it, Tony?
Talking about the jump scares, I thought a lot of them were very cheesy.
Yeah, maybe like
they were still somewhat good, but I thought a lot of them were very, like, oh yeah, I could see that coming. And I thought that there was way too much CGI in this movie. Said coming out of the theater, I wish. I know Pennywise is not the main part of what it is, but still, I was like, I loved him in the first movie. And I wanted to see more of Bill Skarsgård just doing something weird and crazy and wonky.
Gotcha. So you want to see like more practical effects?
Oh yeah, yes. I come from the Sam Raimi version and the Christopher Nolan.
It has some like Sam Raimi aspects of like the first Spider-Man, like all the freaking like thunder and like crazy like coloring and lightning effects as like being spooky and stuff. But yeah, I agree with that. It kind of needed a little bit more less. Okay, a little bit less, not a little bit more or less. CGI could have used some more practical effects, but for what it did, I think it did it decently. What would you rate it?
Well, there's other stuff I wanted to add too. I thought the Bill Hader was the best part of this movie. He actually made me like almost swell up in tear at the very end of the movie. But we'll get into that in spoilers.
Yeah, all the adult actors knock it out of the park with their child like past selves. Like it's really like
it's very weird how they all look very similar to their
it's like a work of God.
Twilight Zone.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it's like a work a work of God in itself. But to the most part, Bill Hader really stepped it up.
I'm trying to remember the fat kid's name. I can't remember his name off the top of my head. Ben?
Yeah.
Ben, I thought the guy who played Ben.
You know, the actor that played
Jeremy Ray Taylor. That's not. He's like Jay Ryan. Sorry, Jay Ryan.
I feel like I need to get the cast on my phone.
So Jay Ryan, who played the adult version of Ben, was incredible. I was shocked at like how much his face actually looked like Jeremy Ray Taylor's. It's like because they're two different people, of course, but the way they just looked, it's like. You can see like him as a fat kid, and then like as he's grown up, you have that same facial feature. I don't know if they CGI'd part of his face or not, but they did a fan-fucking-tastic job with casting. You need to give whoever should know who actually cast this movie because whoever did it was incredible.
So what would you give it like?
So out of 10, I'd probably give it a.
We're not doing halves.
I can't do halves.
No.
Why not? Fine, I'll give it an 8 out of 10.
Oof.
Okay.
That was my. I enjoyed it a lot. There's things that would have changed here and there, but I think it was still not as good as the first, of course. Not as good as the first part, but still.
Okay.
I'd go see it again for sure.
What did you think of Dill Pickle?
Fuck you for calling it that. I thought it was pretty good. When comparing it to the first one, I would say it's about even. The first one being slightly better. But I would say it's around the same ballpark. I mean, they're both really entertaining thriller movies. Not really horror. I wouldn't say.
No, they're not horror. No.
Scary. Maybe if you were like 10 or younger, maybe you have a lasting impression.
So this one's like a Chick-fil-A chicken sandwich, and then the first one's like Popeye's chicken sandwich.
I've tried Chick-fil-A. I haven't tried Popeye, so I couldn't give like decent comparison for that. But yeah, I thought it was pretty decent. unlike Endgame, this did feel a tiny bit long, but not too long.
No.
Like it's. Unlike these guys, I didn't have to use the bathroom, even though I did have a drink with me. I don't know.
On that note, I didn't use the bathroom too, but we all used the bathroom after the end.
Well, afterwards, there was like a 10-hour long line.
Oh, yeah.
Not that long, but still, it was like there was a pretty long line
It was a long line.
for the bathrooms.
So what would you give this of an overall rating?
Overall rating, I would say.
Is it a good time, no alcohol required? I'm sorry,
let's
Jeremy
just steal
Johns.
ratings. I'll give it a 10 minus 3 score, which
So
is
a good
7.
flat
Can you
7.
do math, ladies and gentlemen? That's a 7.
That is 70%. That is
That's a C minus.
That's a C right there.
Whatever. Yeah, overall I thought it was pretty
satisfactory, guys.
good. Could have used more practical effects, but some of the transformations are pretty creative, I would say. But yeah, it was entertaining.
All right, so now, guys, so that was our spoiler-free review of the movie. If you do not want to be spoiled, click it off the video right now because we're gonna go into spoilers.
Hell yeah!
Woo!
All right, so this is a spoiler commentary, bitches.
Pennywise dies.
Yeah, of course he does.
Shit, man! You didn't think about that,
Anyway.
did you?
So let's start with the beginning of the movie. Beginning of the movie, we get a little flashback of all the characters as kids in the first movie. And one thing I will admit that I saw, I don't know what they did, but it pretty much looks like they shot extra scenes from like the first movie, like back in 2016, 2017. And
Or it could have been CG.
Yeah, that's what I've heard. It's CG.
it's not. It can't be that CG because like
Really?
they look the exact same.
I have to look this
I-
up.
I'm looking it up right now just because there's parts.
I watched
Where it looked very
I watched
CG.
the first part
Like,
yesterday. and it
especially
looked exactly
Ben's
the same.
face as a young
Yes, but
child,
people can
it
be
kind of
see
looked
it.
weird. I don't know. There's something off. Maybe I'm just going crazy, but like Ben's younger self.
I watched the
face looked
first.
weird.
I watched the first movie yesterday night again. So
really?
like it looks exact same.
Maybe I'm just going crazy. I don't know, man. I just.
But yeah, like so,
Something seemed off.
I'm pretty sure that I would believe that they did a whole bunch of extra takes during the first movie and kind of like just had them reserved for this movie. So like when they could use those parts in the script, it would be like more. I guess more like realistic and more like gradual of a feeling, which it kind of gave off. But like, yeah, it starts off with a little flashback of them like being a pact after, I guess, hurting Pennywise the first movie, and then Pennywise comes out of. So it's 2019, I believe, and you know, it's 2019, and there are a couple that are two guys, and they are being harassed by other guys that are very, I guess, homophobic towards them. And one thing leads to another, and they basically get beaten up and thrown over a like a little
Like a bridge.
like
small
a little bridge
creek
river,
bridge,
yeah.
Yeah.
Creek
Like
bridge.
Like, where you have a bridge and there'd usually be runoff coming down, kind of like that. Maybe a little,
Yeah.
maybe a tiny bit bigger.
So and then one of the guys are kind of like pretty much fighting for like life, being like bloodied up and trying to gasp for air, and then I don't know if they retconned it, but like in the book and in the short series and in the first movie, I'm pretty sure Pennywise could have only like really affect kids, but like for some reason the adult guy is seeing him for some reason. I'm not sure. Because Pennywise feeds off of fear, so I guess
The main characters are adults, though. I mean,
Yeah.
I know, but like but like
yeah,
they were
it's-
already terrorized from Pennywise when they were kids. But like it's just a random
Yeah.
adult that never saw Pennywise or dealt with Pennywise. So I'm not sure if he feeds off of fear. So I'm not sure if when the couple like got pretty much beaten up by a pulp that they were kind of like fearful for their lives, so maybe
Probably,
that
that's what I was
triggered
gonna say.
Pennywise. But it's up in the air. But yeah, Pennywise pretty much kills one of the guys that's in this gay couple, and then it kind of goes back in the present time, and uh, is it Mike? Um,
Yeah, Mike's the colored person.
the color.
Are you sure you're doing it's not racist?
Colored is the non-racist
Yes,
way
it
to
is.
say it.
Whatever. But yeah, Mike, for some reason, I guess that triggers him that, oh, it's back and Pennywise is back. So he calls everybody up, and pretty much, for some reason, I guess when they leave Derry, they kind of like really forget who they were friends with and just like what occurred whatsoever. So everybody kind of freaked out. And then Stanley, who was the Jewish kid in the first movie, um, I guess he was really like he was like the most scared of all of them, and I don't know if it's weird, but it feels like implied that Pennywise got to him, but then later on it's uh, found out that he just pretty much wanted to commit suicide, so he just uh, cuts his wrists like open with razor blades in the bathtub, and then he dies. So no more Stanley, which is kind of a bummer, but that happened. Um, and then shortly after, they get all to the Chinese restaurant, and then Pennywise starts kind of like making games with them, like kind of like fucking with them, like with their fortune cookies and stuff, and pretty much leading up to like basically saying, "Hey, yeah, Stanley's dead," and then I guess they're they get back their fear. I guess like when they left Derry, they kind of like never really felt fear again to that extent until they came back, and so they start seeing all this crazy stuff with like little chicken baby birds flying out of their fortune cookies and stuff. Then they kind of be like, "Oh yeah, it's just not real. It's just not real. It's just not real." And then they go back to, I believe, um, I'm not sure whose house it is, but it's somebody's in the group's house or mansion, and they
It's a
try to.
hotel.
Oh, yeah, it was
Yeah,
like it was like an Airbnb or something like that.
Yeah.
But they try to like regroup and like try to like figure out how to defeat Pennywise there, and pretty much Mike is the only person that I guess went on like an adventure to find himself and find out all this like mystical
Yeah.
stuff,
Investigating.
and
Yeah.
pretty much he's like was all like convincing everybody like to stay together and defeat Pennywise, and eventually he's like, oh yeah, everybody has to find their own artifact. So I got, I guess, like a piece of them of what happened to them while they were in Derry getting terrorized by Pennywise, and the drama that they faced with family and friends and enemies during that summer in Derry, like in I think 1969. So they all go back and like find their stuff, and then Mike pretty much convinces Bill. He's like, yeah, it's Bill, right?
Yep.
To like get. I think he like drugs his drink or something, but like he like gets him, I guess, lucid and stuff, and he sees all this crazy stuff in this little totem thing, and then Bill convinces the other guys to work as a team and try to defeat Pennywise, since they're all having like doubts and just trying to leave from being too scared to face it. And then it's pretty much like implied, like I don't know, it was this one scene with Bill Hader's character Richie that like that was cut out of the first movie, where he goes to the arcade, plays Street Fighter. It's been a long day, guys. He plays Street Fighter, meets another guy,
His name is
becomes becomes pretty good friends with him and stuff like that. And then it kind of felt like left field, but like I'm not sure if this is what it was in the book, because I don't remember it in the earlier TV series that was in the 1990s. But pretty much he just asked him to play another game because he was like, he met a new friend, he just wanted to hang out more. And then Eddie pretty much sees, I guess, his cousin
Henry Bowers.
Yeah, Henry. And Henry's like the big bully guy that kind of like lost his shit in the first one and killed his dad. And I guess he's kind of still a bully to his cousin as well, because when his cousin sees him, he just like changes his personality like a 180, and pretty much like accuses Richie like kind of like being like kind of a homosexual. And then you know, that kind of like throws Richie off, and he leaves and like has a, I guess like a dramatic breakdown or whatever. And it's kind of implied that Richie is gay. It was brought up in that moment, and then Pennywise was pretty much like, "Hey, I'm gonna tell everybody the truth if you don't play my game." And pretty much after that, it never really got like any closure. Like I was thinking maybe during like one of the final boss, or not the final boss, but like the final fight between the group and Pennywise, like to like I guess make the creature not as powerful as it was, he was going to be like, "Hey, I'm gay, and you know, I feel that way, and I don't feel afraid of saying it anymore." Something like that. So I was expecting that, but that never happened. The only thing that happened that was more to that story in the ending was like, I guess he finally carved on that little rock like the rest of Eddie's initial. So I'm guessing he's like accepting of him being gay, but he never mentions it to his like friends, so it's kind of like a weird gray area. But yeah, so pretty much also Henry Bowers is in the insane asylum and pretty much gets out. And I gotta say that there's security in that insane asylum.
It's so shitty.
It's like why would you watch like a cat video and then this one guy that, you know, he's a nut job.
The same security system as Epstein's.
He has a freaking we don't talk about that. We don't want to get sniped.
I know.
They know our GPS location, I'm pretty sure. But anyway, like yeah, like even like, there's one guy that's a nut job and has the knife, and you're just watching a cat video and you only have like another guard there, and he just kills him and then kills you, and then he's out. It's like that's kind of, that was stupid. But yeah, one thing I think they changed, so I'm pretty sure in the 1990s miniseries, excuse me, that Henry Bowers like came in at the last second, I believe successfully killed Mike. That's what I remember. If anything, it's been a long time since I watched it, but if I'm not remembering that correctly, you guys can like put in the comments somewhere. But I think that's what happened. But in this time, we see him for some reason figure out what Airbnb they're staying at, come out in the back window, and then he stabs, what's the guy with the inhaler?
Eddie?
Or
hey man, you got the laptop. I'm sure it's Eddie. It has to be.
I'm trying to remember who. Can't think.
Well,
I can pull it up on my phone.
He stabs the kid with the inhaler.
Oh yeah, it's Eddie.
Yep,
Sorry,
Eddie.
that's Eddie.
Yep.
Sorry.
Okay.
Retarded.
So that must have been another kid then I was talking about the arcade, but he stabs Eddie, and then for some reason he stabs him like in the jaw or something like that.
Oh yeah,
The cheek area.
Yeah,
in the
the cheek / jaw area, and then
I thought you were talking about the front. Sorry.
like he pretty much he had like, I don't know, it was weird because I thought, you know, Eddie was, you know, just one stab, one kill. But he managed to go into the shower and kind of like surprise Henry and just stab him like multiple times.
Yeah.
And I
thought it was once. I thought he just stabbed him like once in the chest.
No, he stabbed him like 3 times.
Yeah.
And then like he had a really good comeback by his hair, which was fucking hilarious. But then like after that, you think like Henry would be dead, but for some reason, I don't know if it's because of the supernatural powers of it, but it's like he just regenerated all of the stab rooms and just smiled and like, "Oh, I'll be back." It's like, what the hell? And then later on, he comes for Mike, like he does in the miniseries in the library. And then after that, he doesn't kill Mike. He almost does. And then Richie stabs him in the back of the head, and thus killing him. But it's kind of weird because that didn't work the first time. But I guess like maybe because through his brain. But I don't know. I'm not gonna pay too much attention on that detail. But yeah, that happens. And then Beverly is kind of like still like reliving her childhood trauma and still doesn't remember everything, and she still thinks that Bill gave her that the note, even though I think like in the first that she like realizes that it was Ben at the end. So I don't know, like again, like
they forget a lot of stuff when they're away from Derry. It's like a weird magical thing, which I think is that has to do a lot with Stephen King. He always has some weird thing where he makes almost a lot of his characters usually forget from some supernatural thing.
Yeah.
Then again, he was taking a lot of drugs when he was writing all these books back in the day.
But yeah, so that happened, and then eventually Pennywise gets Ben and Beverly like in different like I guess horror scenes, and they kind of like figure out how to get out of them by becoming by being together, and then like now they're like a couple and stuff. And it's kind of like
I shipped them. Yeah.
He could have like we could have like dove into that more instead of like half of the movie.
You want
like,
to elongate the runtime?
Well,
I'm talking about like
there wasn't that much time devoted to those two characters.
That's true. There was barely any time.
Well, I think a lot of it was based on you had.
I'm saying he could have done that like towards the beginning instead of focusing all on Bill, knowing that he has a wife and stuff. And then like it just like they kiss for like 2 times, and then all of a sudden she's with Ben, and then it's like okay, we're just friends now.
No, I'm
it's
saying
like that was just a waste of like time, in my opinion.
Well, no, I just said that the characters they didn't really focus on those two characters as much as they did with Bill or with Richie or with
Nettie. Yeah.
They did focus on Mike a little bit here and there, but in the middle part of the movie, he was very little. They touched on mainly because he didn't. Because of the whole finding your token thing. He was like, "Already found mine, so you guys just go out."
Yeah. And then so like pretty much final thing they go and defeat it for good, and the final form of it's kind of silly like the one was back in the 1990s.
Not as silly, but it's still really stupid.
Well,
yeah,
I think that's how it is in the book too. I think.
Yeah. Like, it's not like a diss on or anything. It's just like it's not gonna be like average like Conjuring like demon or whatever. But yeah, he turns into a big ass tarantula spider type creature with a clown face as a face, and pretty much. I don't know. It's weird. Like sometimes, like they're doing the ritual that is supposed to work according to Mike, but then turns out that they have to figure out through Pennywise it was just kind of BS, and just Mike just thought, hey, if we believe harder, it'll work. But it never really worked for the other people that was like tried to do like years and decades and decades and decades ago. And then pretty much they believe again. They heard him, think that he's dead. Then he stabs Eddie, and then I believe he did that as well in the miniseries. And then unfortunately Eddie dies, and then all of a sudden they pretty much name call him, like call him baby and clown like hundreds of times, and then that just shrinks his ginormous size into like a little raisin Emperor Palpatine looking thing, and then they just grab his heart and just squish it to death.
They did the Temple of Doom thing where they just rip out the heart. I was like, I was like, once he was doing that, I'm like, oh come on, you're doing the Indiana Jones thing, really? And they just do it. They just like crush it.
Yeah, and then like after that, they just they move all back to their to wherever they were living before, and I guess they still keep in contact much
better than they did.
Yeah, much better than they did before, and that's when I guess Steve was it Steve or Steven or
Who are we talking about?
Bill and Mike?
no, the guy that died.
Oh, that's
Eddie.
No. The first one, Stanley
Stan.
Man.
Yeah, Stanley. Stanley didn't, I guess, for some reason, scheduled them all to get the postcards like 2 weeks after he died, figuring out that they were gonna kill Pennywise or it in that time, and be like, hey, Pennywise technically didn't get me. I just decided to kill myself just because I'm like, well, if I'm too much of a scaredy cat to go in with you guys, and if I just go with you guys, I'm just gonna freeze up, and then we're all gonna die.
I thought Eddie would be the scaredy cat. That was
Yeah, he was a lot scary.
He already was. This one time he was like, "Hey, get the knife, dude. Get the knife." He's just like, "Nah, I'm good.
He almost let Richie die.
But then he did have good character development when he was like kind of like bossed up and like tried to like attack Pennywise and defeat him. But then he got too cocky. He's like, "Yeah, I defeat him, and then he just got fucking got wrecked. But yeah.
That was the saddest part, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Yes.
Best character.
A decent amount of character deaths. Some innocent kids. There's one part like in the movie where it's a soccer game and this little 6 or 7 year old girl is going underneath the bleachers and meets Pennywise, and then you think she's smart for a second because she's like, "Oh, you don't know my."
Dude. Nobody's smart in the horror movie.
Yeah, but you
Things
think.
follows like, "Oh, what's that? I'm not gonna walk outside."
Yeah, but you think she's smart for a second because like after like a minute or two, Pennywise trying to like reel her in, she's like, "Well, you don't know me that well," like.
Yeah.
Pretty much like, "Oh, so you're not my friend."
Yeah.
And then, he pulls a freaking crying thing. He's like, "Oh, I never really have friends." And then, so, "Oh, you got this little birthmark that you think is irritating or makes you look ugly. I can just poof that away." And then, he eats her.
Yeah. Eats.
Cut to the chase. He eats it.
The best part in the movie is when Bill pretty much comes to the realization that he's just fighting within himself. So like pretty much, he's still blaming himself. Almost 30 years in of like Georgie's death and stuff, and we figure out that I believe in his cognitive mind that I guess that day that Georgie
wanted to play with him.
Like when he made the boat and Georgie got killed, that day he wasn't really sick. He just wanted to say he was sick and stay home from school and like just have a chill day by himself. So pretty much, his mind was like pretty much, "Oh, you lied and then Georgie died," which is the best part of the movie. You lied and I died. But that's pretty much it for It Chapter 2. Like overall, we said I'd give about a 7, about a 7. And yeah, like I'm sorry that kind of like threw the whole movie into different parts, but yeah, so decent movie. If you haven't watched it yet and you're interested, I'd suggest going to the movies this weekend or whenever you get a chance to watch it. It's definitely worth the watch.
And use the restroom beforehand.
Yeah, if you have a little bladder issue, I would suggest using the bathroom beforehand. And definitely be buying this on Blu-ray when it comes out.
Oh yeah.
And look forward to more reviews. Probably next review I'm off the top of my head would probably be like Jay and Silent Bob reboot. But other than that, whatever comes to mind. But yeah, you guys have a good rest of your day, and talk to you later.